Oh, I almost
Oh,
clicked it
no.
again.
No.
That was not right. I was almost clicked a second
Man,
time
you almost
just
lost the
because.
whole thing there, girl.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Wow.
Danny and Wanda from Deep South Homestead, and Wanda I clicked it to go live, and then I reached to click it again, which would have ended the live stream. Oh, so it's been a week. Hot most of the week. It cooled off. We got rain. He has nothing to say.
Oh man, I had her laughing like crazy before we got on. I'm bad about doing that. I am really bad.
Yeah,
about
and then
that.
I'm like, my brain.
She's all, her eyes are all watering, and she's sitting up here trying to wipe her eyes out. She goes, "Would you please stop? I'm fixing to go live," you know. And say what I tell you, she's already wiping her eyes now. Oh man.
He was sitting here going, "We have nothing to talk about."
So we got nothing to talk about tonight.
Why
are we doing this tonight? We have nothing to talk about. Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun hour.
Oh yeah.
Total like a silent movie.
Yeah, you remember I used to see on Laurel and Hardy. Remember them?
That would be bad if we had to do a silent movie. Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Oh, somebody's asking, do we have the Blue Eddy?
Do we still like the Blue Eddy generators? That's a kind of a love-hate relationship with us. Because we got a couple, 3 of them that still work real good, and we got a couple, 3 of them that don't work, and we get no response from the company. So
well, I hadn't tried in a long time.
We haven't.
I didn't get a response the first couple of times, and I just give up. I don't. Yeah. We don't have cell phone.
Wanda don't have no patience, and we don't have it. We have no service out here where we live at. So
if it don't happen right now,
yeah,
then I'm not making phone calls.
And I really get concerned about that because the only thing that bothers me is that 911 works, and everything else doesn't work.
All the telemarketers.
The telemarketers get through. They hear us perfectly.
Yeah, I have no issues with
no issues with that. So, are we missing something?
I think so, because people can call us. They can't hear us, or they hear themselves. It's like an echo.
Yeah, like they're talking, and they hear themselves when they talk to us. It says it back to them on the phone.
Yeah, and sometimes we hear that. But most of the time, I hear the people that talking just fine, just like I would on any other day. But they can't hear. It's something with my phone or something with our service, but the telemarketers are fine.
And you know why? This is why Danny don't have a phone. Because why? I can't use it.
I pay for it.
It doesn't work. I mean,
And I have one, and I told him this is a glorified.
This is a glorified computer
and camera.
Yeah.
I fixed it.
You know what you just did?
What?
You just smacked me in the eye with that thing.
I told you I was gonna elbow you.
Wow. Y'all saw that.
No, this is a glorified computer and camera. I use it to make our videos, and this is just a case it's in, by the way. It's my phone.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier for me to tote. I toted a big camera around for the first 4 or 5 years that we did videos, and I was always having to pay attention to that camera all the time, and wherever we went, we took the camera just in case. You know, we never knew when we wanted to do a video or whatever. And when I went to my cell phone a couple of years ago, I put it in that little case, and it's convenient. It'll fit in my pocket, it'll fit in my purse. It's just easy to tote.
Pirate Gold and Silver says, what state are y'all located in? We are located in Mississippi.
That was like number 50. Right?
Still Mississippi, no matter how you look at it.
The number 50 state.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
See, Robert says the aliens are monitoring us.
So
there's probably a lot of truth to that because our government is run mostly by aliens.
There's a lot of truth in that.
Yes.
But, you know, I can't make phone calls. And I used to work in an office. And I made phone calls all day long. All day long. On 1, 2, or 3 phones. There's one period of my life I had 3 phones answering, going through. And Now I can't even make a phone call. I can't call if something happens. I can't do anything. I can call 911.
Yeah.
It does work.
Grant T says they have to drive 5 miles to get service.
Wow.
Welcome to our world.
It's about 3 to 5 miles before you get really good phone service.
Well, we got somebody from Brazil Marine says, hello, watching from the Amazon rainforest.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Cool. I love the Amazon rainforest. I just hate that they're cutting it all down.
Hopefully they're not cutting your part down.
Maybe not.
Did you see the new stuff that came out overseas where they can turn the items on your phone even if you turn them off? Yep.
Hey, that's not just in the UK.
They made it legal everywhere.
They've been able to do that here since phones were created.
iPhones.
As long as let's just say there's a particular branch of the government that they can turn your phone on and off anytime they get ready to, and you're not even aware of it. They can your phone. Most phones have like 3 to 4 cameras on them. Most people don't ever know that even exists on their phones. And
okay. Y'all
no, please
don't
ban Chris. He was here today. Chris, this is for you, my friend. We're all gonna die.
I knew Miss Lippy was on it. When I saw the name, I'm like, Chris gonna get banned.
Oh my word!
Y'all have to forgive Chris. Him and Danny's been on it all day long.
Me and Chris have been on it all day today.
Lippy just put him back. I should have warned her. I should have said, if Christopher Kimball comes on, says anything, just ignore it. Oh, that was funny. When I saw it, I had to laugh. I couldn't help it.
Oh, man. Okay. I did it for you, Chris. Me and Chris been working together all morning. And, of course, I told him he had to go home. But
well, we were sitting here chit-chatting all afternoon.
We did. No.
That's why we were tired. We've been busy with Chris.
We've been busy babysitting Chris all day. But Chris is probably one of the dearest friends I have, and we have had a blast all day today.
And she said she didn't get the memo. I'm sorry, honey, I didn't think about it. Chris told me he was going to pull something, and that just didn't dawn on me to tell you to watch for it.
Oh my word. Oh man. But anyway.
Now it's a letdown after that. Chris made us laugh, so it's like, I don't even know where you were.
Where do you go from there?
I don't even know what
I was thinking, man, we was thinking we was aliens or something. You know, I seen all them heads popping up there and all that.
I didn't see the name.
And I didn't see the name at first, but then I looked and I said, that's Chris!
You know, I started laughing.
Yeah. I hope Jennifer's sitting right there with him. I hope she's cheering him on, you know?
She's probably elbowed him a time or two already.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Woo, I love it.
Now I can't see. I can't even read the chat. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, my word. Anyway.
He's rolling on the floor laughing.
I know he's rolling on the floor laughing. We fed him good today. Chris left here about 20 pounds heavier than he was when he got here. He's not very tall, and 20 pounds can add up a lot real quick on a short person. You know, but the thing about it was we tricked him. It was a trick. We fed him a bunch of freeze-dried food without giving him any water. And then all of a sudden we said, man, you got to drink some water. And he just started funneling water down. I said, you can see his belly just growing. I was like, are you pregnant or something, man? You know, I mean, it was funny there for a while. No.
He had never tried freeze-dried foods. So
anyway.
So I got out several things for him to try, and he tried ice cream. I had the ice cream sandwiches.
Yes, the ice cream sandwiches.
Cubes. Yeah. I had cut them up in half and done those, and so he tried ice cream. He tried yogurt, chicken. What else? Something else. Apples.
Jennifer said I just slapped him.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I recognize the bride of Christ. I know that was her. Hey, Chris, you can jump on the bride of Christ until you get your time runs back in, brother.
Yeah, Lippy probably put him back.
Oh, man. Anyway.
He tried several things. He tried
some chicken. He tried some the dark meat. He tried the white meat freeze dried. He tried milk duds.
Yeah, he tried the milk duds. He was totally blown away with the milk duds.
Yeah.
Usually with milk duds, you can't chew them. You pull your teeth out. If you don't have teeth, you pull your dentures out, whatever.
Are you saying you don't have no teeth?
I didn't say he didn't. If you don't have teeth.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure.
Milk duds is not teeth friendly.
I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page here.
So back in September, I bought a big bag of candy when they're doing all the Halloween candy and stuff. I bought a huge bag that was just a mixture of stuff and had it here for when the grandkids come and mainly when I wanted something too. And there was a whole bunch of the little boxes of milk duds. It had 2 in each one of them or something. And so I wasn't going to sit and chew on those things. So I put them all on my freeze dryer tray. And they turned out to be these giant air balls.
Jennifer said, and he came home and ate too. Pamela says she loves her electroculture. My garden is exploding. Thank you so much. And God, I tell you what, if we just quit talking about electroculture pretty much because you know what?
It's too hot right now for us.
Well, not really. It's just a simple fact that
we ain't gardening.
We're not gardening right now. It's just
it's too hot.
We got so much going on.
I thought about it today, and I said I ought to go out and redo my greenhouse and plant stuff. But I have to fight it up until the end of August, 1st of September. I have to water sometimes twice a day, and I just have to fight it to keep stuff pretty, and it's not worth it. We got too much going on.
We got too much going on, but anyway.
In September, I will start again.
We probably will.
And I'm going to use electroculture.
Oh, yeah, because electroculture.
I've got the electroculture in the strawberries.
And it's keeping all the slugs out.
So far.
So far, it's working good. Yeah. Yeah. The heat's been bad here. I don't know about where y'all are. We ain't got no rain. We got 1 shower this past week. We got 3 inches at one time. Of course, all of it ran off, but
it cooled things down.
It cooled things down for about 6 hours, and then it got hot again. But it's just been hot. I mean, even today, all around us has had rain, and we've had nothing.
And Smoky Ribs Barbecue.
Yeah.
He's here in Mississippi. He said he did eggs this weekend. I was telling Chris about the eggs. I've done raw eggs, and I've done cooked eggs. And the cooked eggs, when you scramble up a bunch of eggs and put them on the tray and then freeze dry them, you can rehydrate them back and they're ready to eat. The raw eggs, that's what really blew my mind. I would scramble them and pour them on a tray and freeze dry them. And when you took them out, you could crumble it up like powder. You could take a spoonful or 2 and put it in a bowl, add a touch of water and mix it back up, and it's like you've got an egg again, a scrambled egg. Amazing. So then you can cook it, or add it to cakes or whatever.
Yeah. It's electroculture has worked out real good for us. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've been doing it for close to 30 years now, and it has been a blessing to me. I don't always talk about it, but it has really ramped up our gardening stuff.
Texas Chopper says his is working also, or his or hers. Butternut squash is blooming. What we noticed more than anything else in our trial test over at Pecan Grove was that they bloomed more, they produced more.
Now the plants weren't necessarily any bigger.
Some of them were. Yeah. Some of them, the leaves were huge compared to the others that had smaller leaves. But the biggest thing we noticed overall with electroculture is you get more production. I'd rather have more production all day long.
Okay, here's a question. Craft Lady says, when freezing green beans to can later, do I wash them first? You wouldn't.
I didn't.
No, we don't wash. We don't wash any of our stuff because
I do that because if you do,
they stick together.
Yeah, but the water on them crystallizes and it breaks down the bean.
They turn to mush.
Yeah.
Yeah, they turn to mush.
And when you said craft, K-R-A-F-T lady, it sounded like you called her crap lady.
No, I said craft.
But that ain't what it sounded like in my ears when I heard it, and I had to look to see who you were talking about. Oh, y'all, you have to listen, and you have to pay attention.
Okay. There's Jordan Baker says, hello from Gulfport. Hey, they're not far away.
There's Kayla.
Where's Kayla? Lowry, there you are.
Got rain every
day since the 4th. It's dog days here, I believe. No, you still got to wait till October to have the dog day, sweetheart. August, I'm sorry. You got to wait till August to have the dog days. August, it's like, what, 30 days? It rains every day.
It's supposed to rain every day.
And then it's hot, it's humid. You know, we get no rain. I mean, we're not going to complain about it because the Danny corn is really dry and good. The stalks are almost brown now.
Except that we've got
we had a creature last night. Of course, you know me. He didn't make it. I'm hoping.
Wanda went to.
Yeah, this was funny.
Danny was busy, so yeah. I'm riding around checking stuff, seeing how things are doing. I always go check the garden, and we've had some corn down. Out of that whole big field, overall, it's still most of it up, but we have some down occasionally, so we were throwing it into either birds, squirrels, something. When I went by today, I was riding and I saw what looked like fresh corn, because you can see it looks like white.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. And it looked like more was down. All in the middles, there was quite a bit, because I just took pictures yesterday and everything was fine. And I rode right by the cage, turned around, and I was looking at the corn. I wasn't looking at the cage. And when I got out of the corner of my eye, I saw something move, and I stopped and looked. There was a big possum in there.
Big old possum sitting in there.
And Danny had to go get rid of it.
I had to eradicate him. I started to shoot him about 25 times, but I told Miss Wanda, I said,
after what he done with that.
After I seen where he was in my corn, I get ticked off real fast. And I said, nah, one good shot would be all right. I mean,
Danny's really particular about his corn. And one year, about 7 years ago, he had the prettiest cornfield down here you ever seen.
Yep.
It was all dry. It was hanging down. He went out there that night and he goes, tomorrow we're going to harvest that corn. It's perfect. It's just right. We got up the next morning. Hadn't nothing bothered it up to that point.
Nothing had bothered it up to that point. I told her, I said, I'm going to pick all the corn tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
Went out there, and the raccoons hit it that night and didn't leave me an ear.
No, not one ear.
Not even one ear.
He come in here. He was mad. He says, I'm going back out there, and I'm fixing to take care of that field. Next thing I know, he's on the tractor bush hogging the whole field.
I bush hogged the whole field down.
Not one ear of corn out of a whole field. And that's when we called the game warden.
Yeah, that's when I called the Game and Fish Commission. I said, get your tail out here. I'm fixing to kill everything. And he come out here, and he's like pulling his britches up and everything.
Mr. Danny,
now you can't go out here and be shooting everything now. It's not legal. And I told him, I said, I pay taxes on this place. I can do whatever the heck I want to do.
He said, wait, now what can I kill and what can I not kill?
I said, what can I kill legally and what can I not kill legally? Well, you can take a wild hog, you can take a crow, you can take a coyote. You know, and he went on, and after we got to talking for a while, we actually become like really good friends.
But it was funny. We were going, okay, what kind of birds? Because we have birds in the fig trees, the pear trees, the peach trees. They were down in everything. And he goes, now you can't kill any songbird. And we go,
I said, even if they're eating my figs? He says, well, I'll check on it, but let me make sure.
You're not supposed to kill songbirds, which meant that was every bird that was eating our figs.
Yeah.
And then Danny says, well, them mockingbirds, they're so annoying. And he just put his hands on it. He goes, Danny.
Mr. Danny, he said, the mockingbird is our state bird. I told him, I said, I don't give a heck what he is if he's eating my figs.
We never even thought about the mockingbird being the state bird. And Danny asked him, can I kill the mockingbirds? And he goes, I mean, he was so offended that he would even think that. And we're like, well, we don't think about it being the state bird.
I don't ever think about that kind of stupid stuff. I said, I didn't make the rule.
Protected.
He said, they're protected. I said, well, I didn't make that rule.
We were just dying out loud.
But anyway, Jeff, it was who it was. Jeff become a real good friend of ours.
He's a good guy.
He is a really good guy. After he got to looking at the place, he said, man, this is really nice what y'all do here. He said, raising your own food and all. He said, let me get y'all a permit, see if we can't get this thing squared away. But anyway, we
didn't have to use it.
We really didn't have to use it because for some strange reason, the word must have got passed around through the woods or something.
They ate all the corn. What else was left?
Well, the deer was getting in our sweet potatoes.
That's right.
Yeah, and they all just quit coming around. So
we didn't have to deal with it.
We didn't have to deal with nothing.
How do you deal with worms in corn?
Well, if you got worms in your corn, you probably planted too late to start with. Secondly, you can use mineral oil on the corn silks. You can spray BT on the corn silks. You can spray spinosad on the corn silks if you want to. We don't worry about it, to be honest with you. We just chop that part of the corn off and just keep on working.
All right, Mega Harcross said she has a huge cucumber plant with tons of flowers but no cucumbers. She's seen bees on it and has tried hand pollinating, but any ideas? Nothing's happening.
Lola,
if it gets too hot,
if it gets over 85 to 90 degrees, lots of times flowers just won't pollinate. You know what I mean? They just won't take. I mean, the bees can pollinate them, and yet they just fall off because of the heat. Or if it's too wet, they'll do the same exact thing.
All right.
There's 1,000 different things it could be. You know, I mean, there's no one actual great answer.
I just took all my cucumbers up because in the heat, they were still producing. They had quite a few, and a lot of blooms, but they're not pollinating like they ought to, and they turn funky. They don't grow out like they're supposed to, and they're very bitter. And I don't want to make pickles out of them, and I definitely don't eat them. I took the last of them off the chickens.
Okay.
Right, Lisa,
okay. You gonna do Lisa?
Lisa wants to know any suggestions for acorn squash recipes. When do you know if they're ready on the vine? I do not like acorn squash.
We don't like acorn squash to start with, but how you know they're ready on the vine is if you take your fingernail and start digging it into them. If it don't dig into them, that means that the skin on the outside of them has gotten hard enough that they're probably ready to pick off the vine. That's how you would know that, but we don't really eat them.
I bought some. What did I do? Somebody gave
us a whole box of them.
Yeah, I had a whole box of them.
Yeah.
And we ate them because we had them.
Yeah.
But we decided that wasn't something we'd plant.
Okay, Hat Barnes says, Danny, I think you mentioned the ground cracking around your sweet taters recently. Mine is too. What does it mean? It just simply means that your potatoes are forming underneath the ground, and as they grow in the ground begins to bust and to crack up all around them. The main thing you want to watch for is to make sure that there's no sunshine hitting the potato there. Now, they're not like an Irish potato that's going to turn green and be poisonous or anything like that. It's just that the sun will scald them and they don't do good or they don't hold well. If I see mine sticking out of the ground, I take a shovel and throw a little dirt over them or something like that to kind of help out.
All right, Mississippi Soldier 369 says, will electroculture help brassicas?
Electroculture will help any plant. Now, understand this. I don't know where you live. You said Mississippi Soldier. I'm guessing Mississippi, but it's too hot to grow brassicas right now. Brassicas are strictly a cool weather plant. I would wait till fall to plant some, if it was me personally. Because the heat, all it does is makes them bolt. They'll get very bitter tasting, and they will bolt in the heat.
Yeah, Susie Q says the tomato hornworms are really bad. The stink bugs, this is the stink bug season for us right now.
Well, it's the cycle. They go through cycles in the Deep South, and we are in the midst of the cycle now.
So that's why I'm taking everything out of my garden. I took the tomatoes out, the cucumbers. I left the peppers. I've checked the peas. They've been hitting the peas. I finished up last week with the peas that I wanted, and I told Danny they'll all be bush hogged down, everything be cleared up. Corn is and eggplant. I did harvest eggplant. That poor little eggplant is it's making eggplants. And the little one that came up volunteered late.
Yeah, the late one.
It's got little eggplants all over.
Yeah.
So right now in Mississippi, eggplant might do okay.
Well, the eggplant's a nightshade, and this particular nightshade is like a pepper. It loves the heat.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So my peppers and let's see, the peppers, the eggplant, the purple sweet potatoes are doing amazing. And so we're going to be about through with everything.
Yeah, we're pretty much on. Celtic Fiddle said, should I water my garden spraying from above? And the answer to that is no. Don't ever water your garden from above unless you're going to do it after dark. Now, if you do it after dark, it's okay. But if you do it during the early morning or during the day, all it does is promote disease.
All right, so Cheryl Williams said, I took your advice about the Dr. Earth's Golden Bloom for blooms, but also I haven't seen any squash bugs. It's the most successful zucchini, squash, and pumpkin harvest I've ever had. Thanks. I bought a 5-gallon bucket of that
Yeah,
stuff.
we just bought a 5-gallon bucket of it. Had to go to the bank and finance it, but we did buy it. But to us, 5 gallons will last us about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And she's right. It is one of the best stink bug, squash bug, vine borer.
Plus it produces.
Plus it helps them to produce more.
Anything we've ever put the Golden Bloom on, whether it's berries,
cucumbers, it don't matter.
Squash, zucchini, anything in the high tunnels, we used it a lot in the high tunnels. And everything that we used it on produced really well. So it's our biggest thing, and that's why we bought more. Well,
that and if you mix fish emulsion with it, it stinks even more. So, I mean, this stuff stinks to high heaven, and I believe that's why it deters these bugs so much.
Let's see. Here's Boozy Watch. Boozy Watch? I don't know. It looks like
Boozy.
Boo.
It's Boozy.
When should we plant pumpkins in Zone 8?
Pumpkins should have been planted probably 2 months ago, because they have like 125 to 150 day period of time that it takes for them to ripen and to actually cure like they need to cure. It's a little late now to be planting. I would plant in the early spring after danger of all frost is gone.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out.
Celtic Fiddles Golden Bloom is from Dr. Earth. It's high phosphate. No, it's high phosphate. Yeah, it's called high phosphate. It's a real high phosphorus based plant, because anytime you have a blooming plant, you've got to up the phosphorus, because whether you want to believe this or not, I don't really care because I know the truth, but when they spray these chemtrails, and you're going to find out they're fixing to start admitting that this is right. The government's already given them the clearance to do this. The aluminum that they've been spraying, supposedly to block the sun out, which is a big joke, when it falls to the soil, it raises the pH in the soil unnaturally, and that ain't the only. That's not the only bad thing about it. Is it binds up the phosphorus in, in the soil, where your plant cannot take it up. So that's why in the gardening today, you must add some form of liquid phosphorus to a plant if you expect it to produce and produce abundantly, because all the phosphorus is being bound up in the soil. And you've got to put it to it in order for it to bloom and produce like it's supposed to.
Okay, I got to answer Miss Isabel because...
All right, Ms. Isabel.
Because I got a story on that. Can all the fertilizers be stored in a hot shed?
No.
Liquids? No.
No, not the liquids.
I bought this big 1-gallon thing of fish emulsion and had it sitting in my she shed, and we have 2 freezers and a refrigerator in there. And during the summer, last summer when it got so hot, it was up over 100-degree heat index for so long, I went in there one day and that 1 gallon had popped a hole in it some way, shape, or form.
The heat had caused it to expand and blow up.
And you talking about a stinking mess.
That was bad.
I had fish emulsion all over the floor of the she shed.
Yeah.
And try and mop that stuff up if you can.
It wasn't good.
It took a while, and it was bad.
Ms. Norma Kibler, did I say that right? Norma Kibler?
Where is it?
Do you use Golden Bloom as a foliage spray? No, I do not use it as a foliage spray. I mix mine up in a watering can, and I pour it right around the base of the roots of the plant. I soak it in real good around it. Wood stove, Bill and Sue? Wood stove ashes for phosphorus. Wood stove and ashes are high in potash, and which is okay, but you have to be careful using it because it will raise the pH of your soil up too high, and you'll actually alkalinize your soil way too much if you're not careful.
Okay, the 5-acre woods. Mr. Bob asked, should we be pulling the bottom leaves off our tomato plants as they grow taller?
It depends on if it's a determinate or an indeterminate. Now, determinants and indeterminates, to begin with, we take all bottom leaves off because that's where all disease starts at. But only the indeterminate do we continually take the leaves off of as they grow, because indeterminates are a vining tomato, determinates are not. And determinates needs the foliage to protect the tomatoes from the hot sun. I would not take them off of the determinate. Once I got the first bottom ones off, I would only do it on the indeterminate.
Okay, April wants to know, how long is food good in a can that's past expired or best use date? I have cans 2 to 5 years past due, but I hate to throw them out. I would determine when I opened them, but if you've got cans that are 5 years past the date,
yeah,
I would say I wouldn't chance it.
We get rid of anything 5 years or older.
And that's my can stuff.
That's stuff. I know you're talking about store-bought stuff now. Store-bought food don't have any nutrition to it at all anyway, so I don't.
I would use it for animal food if it doesn't look bad and smell bad. If you open corn and it looks like corn and it smells like corn, then I would say feed it to the chickens, the pigs, the hogs, something, whatever. But I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, we just have rules.
And my canned stuff, once it gets to the 5-year mark, we start cleaning out jars. I've been doing that this past week too, cleaning out some jars. And I hate throwing food away, but the chickens love it. So what I look at is 5 years ago, I canned more than enough for us, so it's feeding my chickens now. And if I had a pig, they would really love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Where you at?
Okay, Tommy Perkins, Hunting, Fishing, and Gardening says, you told a story about a lady that gave you cuttings from her apple tree. I have tried to find that video, but never could. Please share that story again.
I guess they're talking about the one that...
Yeah, there was an elderly lady out here, very wise lady. She's in her 90s, I believe. And
she was at least in her 80s.
Yeah, no, she's in her 90s because she told me she was in her 90s.
Yeah, she might have been.
Yeah, she told me there's only one day a year that you could cut a limb off of an apple tree and stick it in the ground and make it grow. And I was like, really? And she said, yep. And that particular year, it was September the 21st because that was Wanda's birthday. And also what was it? The summer solstice.
Or fall.
No, fall solstice. I think.
Fall.
Anyway, autumn equinox or something. Anyway, she told me, she says, you want to cut a long slant on that stick that you cut off the apple tree, and it's got to be a first year's growth, and then take the back of your knife and just make scrape marks on it to expose the cambium layer on the back side. And she said, take your post hole diggers and dig you a hole about 3 feet deep in the ground, and fill the bottom of it full of like just washed pea gravel, and then dump you some fresh like cut ryegrass or something like that, some really green grass, and just stuff it down in the hole real good, and then put you some good compost in on top of it and finish filling the hole full, and job that long apple stick way down in the ground till it hits the rocks down in there, and water it in real good, and it'll grow. And I did that to 2 trees on that day. And I said, well, let's find out if there's any truth to this. So the next day I did 2 more trees. Well, the 2 that I did on the day that she told me to do it on are still growing out here right now in big old apple trees. The 2 that I did on the next day, both of them died. So what was the secret? I don't know. I even went and talked to a very well-known horticulturist that owns a huge nursery. And he told me, he said, Danny, lots of wisdom has been lost from the old people. And he said it's quite possible that there's some truth to it. So
yeah, we just don't remember if my birthday was the day before, the day after, what the moon was like that year. I mean, it would. With computers, you probably could go back. but I don't remember exactly what year. It was before we started YouTube.
Yeah, it was before we started YouTube.
So I would say it would have been 2014 maybe, or 2015, because we started YouTube.
We started in 15. We started in the winter of 15, so it could have been the summer of 15.
Yeah, it could have been that summer, September. But it's hard for us to know whether it was 14 or 15 to run it back and just see. But I mean, you could try it.
Do you guys believe in the weather sticks, or do you have one? I
don't have one.
I'm guessing you're talking about a rain stick. I don't have a rain stick. I know if that's what you're talking about, I know what it is, but I don't have one. No. And if I believe, I only believe in the Lord. I don't believe in anything else, but I do experiment with things. But if I had one, I would experiment, but I don't have one.
Okay, so how did she know what day? She was an elderly lady that was raised by a man that was like a horticulturist. Her dad could grow anything. She learned from him. This lady had plants that she started, all types of trees and things, sitting under the edge of trees in her backyard in little things, and she had turned other cups and stuff over the top of them. None of them froze during the winter.
No.
I could sit things in our tree line and do the exact same thing, and every bit of it would freeze, and I'd lose everything. But she always had the prettiest starts, and she had them all just sitting under a tree line in her backyard. I don't know how she kept stuff from freezing. That just blew up my mind. But she had knowledge that is beyond anything you have now.
Danny, Joe Sanders says, Danny, why are my jet setters only producing marble-sized tomatoes? Plants look healthy.
One or two things.
Well, no. I mean, I want to say something, but I know I probably can't say it. There is definitely something going on with the weather this year, guys. And I'm gonna give you some scenarios. Some of y'all may be seeing these things happen. Some of you may not. One of them is the marble-sized tomatoes. Perfectly good-looking plants. Secondly is sweet corn only getting about 2 to 3 feet tall, and field corn getting 2 to 3 feet tall and tasseling. I have my beliefs on this. I've seen the data. I just can't talk about the data a lot, but I have seen the data talking about the Earth giving off gamma rays like crazy last year and this year because of the geomagnetic absorption from the North Pole and the South Pole. I'm trying to keep this in layman's terms so we won't get in trouble. And the Earth is becoming extremely hot on the inside because we're going into solar cycle, solar cycle 25. Solar cycle 25 is going to be one of the worst solar cycles that we've seen since 2000 and what was the last one that was that bad? 2000 to 2004, somewhere in that area. We're going to, the guys, from now till the middle of 2024, we're going to be in solar cycle 25. Things are going to get really tough, and things are going to get really bad. Weather-wise, heat-wise, I mean, there's a whole lot of things. I can't go into a lot of talking about it, but just please understand that gardening is fixing to get rough.
Okay. Miss Laura wants to know, she has year 2 with her apple tree. She noticed copper color on the leaves. Any suggestions?
Yeah, you got a cedar tree anywhere nearby? Because it sounds like cedar rust. Sometimes these apple trees, if you got cedar trees anywhere around where you live at, this is Alexander's one.
Okay, somebody want to know, you do have JT West.
No, I don't have. I know JT.
We need to get one of JT's
I need to get one of Joey's hats.
This is a local.
This is a local hardware store. See, here's another one. The Swafford Homestead. My second sweet corn patch has tasseled at only 12 to 24 inches in size.
Wow.
See, guys, that's what I'm talking about. These gamma rays coming up from the earth.
There's another one said they saw the dwarfism and I bumped it. But
I've seen the United States Department of Agriculture's information on gamma rays and the effects it has on the roots of plants and things like this. And we're going to start seeing more of this. I mean, that's going to be the one thing. That's why y'all remember, there's reasons why I tell y'all to plant in containers if you can. Up off of the ground. Do not sit them on the ground. Come up off the ground about 12 inches high and plant in containers. Grow bags and containers to get away from some of these gamma rays. Now, it's not getting rid of the gamma rays, but it's helping to promote the growth of the roots and plants in containers if you really take care of them and you fertilize them like they're supposed to be, you lime them like they're supposed to be. Biggest issue with containers is magnesium. You want to make sure you get some Epsom salt, good couple of tablespoons every 2 or 3 weeks in it to make sure that you keep the magnesium in the soil. Guys, it's just a formula that we get. You'll figure it out as you go along by looking at the leaves.
All right, let me answer this one, and then you got to answer. Mr. Earl will be reading it. All right, Mr. Ed wants to know, have I done a video canning yellow wax beans? Not yellow wax beans, but I have plenty of green beans, and you do the same thing. It's just yellow beans, green beans, same thing. I probably have 5 or 6 videos at least out on canning green beans. So just apply it to yellow wax beans.
You talking about Mr. Earl Simmons?
Yes.
Earl says, I have a 1/4 acre pond that's leaking about 110 foot across and 8 foot high dam. How many pigs do I need to put in it to seal it? I have heard of that working. My dad has told me about it. It used to working because pigs have oily skin, and when they waller, the oil gets in the mud. The biggest issue you're going to have to worry about with that, Mr. Earl, unless you have electric fencing or something, is pigs will destroy the dam. My suggestion would be what we've done to ponds in the past here is to purchase some bentonite clay and go in when the pond is down at its lowest level and spread it all around the inside of the pond, pretty heavy, and let it, the bentonite clay, if you can disc it in or something like that, that would be great. You're supposed to do this when you first build a pond if you don't have a good clay bottom in it, but it's better to just use the bentonite clay because it'll find the leak and stop it usually.
All right, is the gamma rays an ongoing issue for years in the future?
Gizmo, yes, we're going to be facing this for at least the next 4 to 5 years.
My Cherokee yellow wax beans are vining like runner beans. Is that normal?
Duncan D, no, that is not normal.
Some of them can. Remember, we had both bush and
if you got, it's not normal for the bush beans.
But he could have.
But if you got the Cherokee yellow wax vining beans or pole beans, then yes, it is perfectly normal for them to do that. Lots of these seed companies mix it up, and they don't tell you which one you get when you order.
They don't put bush or pole on the package. We found that with a lot of different green beans, that they don't tell you which is which. Now, if they would, it'd be very helpful. But the yellow wax beans we planted this year were bush.
They were bush.
Last year we planted the pole ones, and they turned out horrible.
Horrible. Bonnie Hatcher says, which golden bloom do you recommend, 121 or 272? I see both to buy. We use the 121 on ours because we use it quite frequently. If you use the 272, you're putting in too much of what it has in it, the phosphorus and all. You really need to do it a 121. That way you know you're not overdoing it.
Red Beard Farm says, I planted my sweet corn in raised beds and used the electroculture, and it's 8 feet tall and beautiful. Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That tells you it needs something.
You got it up in a raised bed. You got it up out of the ground some. You got the electroculture around it. You probably got some good nitrogen into it because corn needs lots of nitrogen, and you probably got some good more water and moisture to it. You do that and you'll do good.
What is your opinion on the Bartman sweet potato? I thought they were really good.
The Vardaman sweet potatoes are well, the only reason they're called Vardaman is because they're raised in Vardaman, Mississippi. But
I think they're really tasty.
They're really good sweet potatoes. I'm not going to lie to you. They are.
Bought quite a few over the years.
Yeah, we've bought quite a few of them. We sure have. Now, we've never really grown them here. But we have bought a lot of them in boxes.
I don't know if you can get the, well, we could save some and do our own slips.
Yeah, I could save them and do my own slips.
We just hadn't done that.
Yeah.
Can you do a video showing how to graft fruit trees? We have several.
John, we already have several videos showing how to graft fruit trees. I've got one grafting fruit trees for a black guy, Mr. Steve.
We've shown how to graft
I've shown how to graft apples. Is it pears?
Pears. No, not peaches.
The peaches I bud graft. I'm
there
sure
was about 2 or 3 different videos on grafting.
Oh, I've grafted persimmon trees.
Persimmon, that was other. All right, Danny, any suggestion why my Santa Rosa plum tree hasn't grown, I think, bloomed in 3 years? Ours blooms
every year and doesn't have any plums on it. I mean, it's
the cold gets
the cold gets it every year. Sometimes if a tree's not old enough, they just won't bloom. It takes about 5 years for a tree to start blooming and doing good.
All right, Sheila's asked this a couple of times, but I'm not sure what she's asking. Why are my Millotron leaves browning and dying? I don't know what a Millotron is.
It's like a little melon.
Oh, okay.
It's like probably the heat this time of the year. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, they can either be too much water, too much heat. You know, or vine borers are getting into it. I mean, there's lots of issues with it. Just look around the base of the plant where it goes into the ground at, and see if you see any like jelly-looking stuff coming out around the roots of the plant there, or the base of the plant. If it is, you got vine borers in it.
3C said, I use the electroculture on my zucchini here in Zone 6, and it has been spectacular.
I'm always excited when I see people that have used the electroculture, probably because you've done it right. So many people use electroculture and they don't do it right. And they say, oh, I got bad results. Well, you've got to follow some rules with it. You can't just go out there and stick something in the ground and expect it to work.
Let's see, where are we at? I'm trying to see where difference between greenhouse and hoop house.
Millie wants to know the difference between a greenhouse and a hoop house for winter growing food. A greenhouse is a lot larger than a hoop house, is for one thing. Both of them basically do exactly the same thing. Both of them can be used for exactly the same things. To me, one of them is no different than the other. A greenhouse is very low, usually has a 6 to 7 foot ceiling. A hoop house usually got a 6 to 7 foot ceiling in it.
We have high tunnels.
We have high tunnels. We don't have greenhouses. We don't recommend greenhouses in the South.
Yeah, the high tunnels give us more space than the heat can go out the top. All right, now
Ann, I need to answer. Ann says, what happens if you don't cut sugarcane and let it go? Zone 9B. If you happen to have a freeze in Zone 9B and it freezes the sugarcane, it will kill it to the ground and you won't have any more. You want to cut it off, and when you clean the fodder off, the leaves of it, all that off, pile it back on top of where you cut it off at. And then during the winter, if it tries to sprout and come back, just keep cutting it off until next spring.
Okay. April says, what is good for rose bushes to thrive? They seem to be yellow small leaves and firing. My rose bushes, I just buy rose food, and I go through and add it ever so often. You mix it in the water and pour it around, and that seems to help, but the heat will do it too. Mine look crazy because of the heat. So I just let things try and survive the heat, and then I pick it back up in the fall trying to make them look pretty again.
Okay, Jamie says, can you hang your electroculture wire on metal stakes? No. I would not put mine on metal stakes because unless you're going to use a magnet on top of it, because it literally grounds it out and stops all the electrical current flow through it, the copper wiring. You need to put it directly in the ground on a non-conductive base, something like a fiberglass electric fence rod, piece of PVC, wood, anything like that that's non-conductive to electrical currents, because the average electrical current from a electroculture wire in the ground is like 0.67 ohms or something like that. And it all depends on the height of the copper is out of the ground. The higher it is, the greater the ohm reading you'll get off of it.
Will the electroculture work in 5-gallon containers? Yeah, we've put them in some.
We've got them in 20.
Mickey has them.
We've got them in 25-gallon containers.
That's right, the bigger ones.
They're plastic containers, not metal.
Yeah.
Metal is conductive and grounding. The plastic containers that we use in the grow bags are not.
All right, Fat Daddy's Outdoor Cooking says, have you mastered your power at the cabin?
I don't know exactly what you mean about have we mastered it. We've always used a particular way at the cabin because it was designed that way. When I built it, I wired it to be hooked up to the power system if someone ever decided to after we're gone. But it's wired up to solar panels. It's also wired where I can plug a battery bank into it and use the 12-volt lights in it, or I can hook a generator up to it and I can crank it up, cancel out all the other things and run nothing but the generator, and I can run anything in the house on a generator. So it's doing just what we designed it to do.
All right, Myra Page says, I'm in South Africa. You are such a blessing. Thank you, Myra. I think she says, what do you do about slugs for my lettuce? So what would you do for slugs and lettuce?
Anytime you have slugs on anything, use your copper. You can use copper coil, copper wire. Wrap a piece of copper wire around the base. Maybe say one about 3 inches out from the plant, one about 6 or 8 inches out from the plant. Just take you a piece of copper wire and make it in a circle and lay it on the ground. Slugs will not crawl over it.
Yeah, they don't like it. All right, now which one did you
Texas say? Misty says, do you still have a sweet potato book for sale, and if so, where I can find it? Yes, we have, let me see here.
I didn't know where you were at.
We have one right here. We got plenty of them. You can find them on our Etsy store at deepsouthhomestead.etsy.com.
Yes. Will an electric fence keep raccoons from the corn? Probably not.
An electric fence will keep raccoons from the corn if you have it like
all the way to the ground.
Yeah, you got to have it like 4 or 5 inches from the ground and no grass around it. Then you got to have another one about 6 to 8 inches, and then another one about 8 to 10 inches. And if you got like 3 of them in about a 12-inch space from the ground up, then yes, it'll keep the raccoons out.
But just to run one around the thing, they'll jump it or climb over something. Raccoons are mischievous.
Everybody's talking about how well their electroculture has been working. And guys, if you need electroculture rods, Hills Mill Homestead has those for sale. If not, if you want to make your own, you can make your own. It's quite simple. It's no big deal. But if you like me, you don't have time to just sit and wind copper all day. I just order mine from Mr. Mickey, and I've been completely pleased with what I have.
All right, I asked in one of your videos before, but what do you know about divining
or witching to locate water on your property? My daddy told me when I was born that I was born with a veil over my face, and he said when that happens, these are the people who have the ability to witch water. Now that might be an old wives' tale, I don't know, but I have always witched my own water, and I have never missed. And a lot of it, I don't even have to use a dowsing rod or anything. I can look at the type of trees, different things like this. I do believe that it works because it all works off of frequencies there again, and witching using a peach rod or using 2 copper rods or whatever definitely works. Now you can't hold them in your hands per se. You need to bend the L shape and stick them in the ends of 2 pieces of garden hose so that they're not being grounded out with your hands. You can find water lines that way. You can find electrical lines that way. You can find water underground that way. I mean, there's lots of good ways if you don't know how to look at the proper trees to find water.
Everybody is saying that they've had really good luck with the electroculture.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ann wants to know about Cushal squash, what to do with them. That's something that
the Cushal squash is a winter squash. You can save the Cushal squash, and
I don't think I've ever cooked them, so I don't know.
And you can grow them and eat them all winter long. I mean, they save real well.
All right, my Crooked Little Homestead said they made their copper rods and they're working really well in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
Let's see. When you go over
the lines that cross energies, they are super intense.
Yes.
Yes.
You're talking about the water witching.
Yeah.
Okay. Craft Lady. I'm gonna say it right. Craft Lady said I had slugs really bad before I put the copper coils in, and afterwards they have been non-existent. That's what we're finding with the strawberries. Yeah, same thing. So it really helps with some of that.
Yeah.
How do I get my squash plants to produce more fruit without many bees this year?
Well, the only thing I can tell you is you have to hand pollinate if you want them to produce more, and then you have to. A lot of the times, people don't have bees because they're not pruning their squash plants. I have videos showing how to prune the leaves off of squash plants because those plants have to be opened up where the bees can find the flowers. If your squash plants are too thick and too green and too luscious, you got to get rid of some of them bottom leaves on them, especially if they start trying to turn colors or dying a little bit or something like that. You want to cut them off, get them out of there, and prune your squash plants, and then you will have plenty of squash usually.
Tammy Joe, I do have oregano.
Yes.
Lots of oregano, lots of basil, lots of rosemary. Those are my three main go-tos. I also have some pineapple sage that I love.
Miss Barb says the copper coils clockwise. Yes, you want to wind them clockwise if you live in the northern hemisphere, counterclockwise if you live in the southern hemisphere. One of the easiest ways to determine which way to wind your copper coils is flush your toilet or run water down a sink and watch the swirling motion, and you'll see whichever way the water swirls, that's the way you need to wind your copper coil. And 9 times out of 10, it's what I just told you.
Smoky Rib says, I noticed on your Etsy store your last name is King. My mother's maiden name was King. She was from Columbia, Mississippi. Well, I am from Columbia, and I might have known some. I don't know if I know Kings there or not.
Well, my daddy was a King, and he
lived in there.
My dad and his family lived in Columbia for many, many years, up around Goss and Bunker Hill.
And they had an extended family.
And they had extended family and all up there. We were kin to a lot of different people in Columbia, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and my family still lives in Columbia. So.
Yeah.
So we might have some relatives that might know each other. Let's see where we at. I'm trying to see where we're.
I don't know.
Will you be selling any pepper plants this year? I can pick up if needed. We don't sell plants.
We don't sell plants, Aaron.
I think what they're talking about. You're talking about the in my greenhouse.
Oh, you're talking about peppercorns.
Yes, I probably might put some up on Etsy if I get some time. We've just been very busy and I hadn't gotten to it, but I'm fixing to down most of the peppercorns in my high tunnel and try and get that cleared up so that for the fall I don't have I had 4 big places and I don't need all that. I need it down to a minimum. I let it get out of hand last year.
Eugene says, should I spray my Blossom End Rot spray in the evening or in the morning? I would always spray my sprays in the evening because plants grow at night. They don't grow during the daytime. And I know that may be kind of confusing to people. They go, well, yeah, but the sun's out during the day. Your plants gather energy during the day and they actually grow at night. They don't grow during the day.
All right, James wants to know, are we completely food independent? I wish I could grow or raise food I eat. We grow a lot of what we eat.
We're about 98% food independent here on our homestead.
Now oatmeal, olive oil, you know, all this kind of stuff. And if I want junk food, Wanda gets some junk food every now and then, but we don't live on junk food. Any vegetables, fruits, and meat we grow. That would be the way to answer that. And that's 90% of what we cook. We turn the corn into cornmeal and grits. I do order popcorn.
Yeah. Down on the Homestead says, Danny, do you have my elephant garlic corms? Can I let them dry, or do I need to plant them back immediately? Plant them immediately back into the soil. When you dig your garlic, put them immediately back in the soil so that they can go ahead and be acclimating to your soil temperature, and they'll come up at the right time when they're supposed to.
All right. Let's see where we're at. I use pennies dated in the 30s in my raised bed for strawberries and no slugs, period. Yes. Older pennies are
better. Pre-1964, 65, somewhere around in there. You get true copper out of them, or 80 something, maybe 85.
Yeah.
You get true copper out of them. 65 is a silver.
All right. Duncan said, you mentioned something one time about hail. They had pellet-sized hail last week, and 2 days later it looked like everything was literally fertilized. I think you mentioned something
I
about
did.
that
I talked about the nitrogen being bound up into the hail, because the hail actually comes from a higher cloud top, and it has further to fall down through. And when you have those kind of storms, the hail binds up that water. It turns to ice, and you have basically what you call pelletized liquid nitrogen. Is basically the way I look at it.
Okay, you guys, it is 8 o'clock, so if you have prayer requests, put them up. What was I thinking? Something today. I heard something, and now my brain is just gone. So who was I thinking about?
That's called getting older.
Who was I thinking about?
I can't help you with that one, because one thing a man learns is never go into a woman's mind.
I don't know. I was like, okay, prayer request. And I know I remember, but when we get to talk about other things, that kind of stuff goes out my brain. And then when we get off, I'm like, oh yeah, that was it.
Wes wants to know, says, Danny, where do you get your blueberry bushes? We got our blueberry bushes from place up here just south of Hattiesburg, out in what was the name of that place?
Hand me that little book right there, and I'll tell you. See that little one on the second shelf?
Groggins, Tim Groggins.
Yeah, but that's not the name of
he's the owner of the nursery.
But hand me the book, I'll find it.
It's it's out at Richburg Hills, south of
Richburg Road.
It's on Richburg Road, south of Hattiesburg.
Just time I find it, he'll remember.
Yeah, I know
the name.
It'll come to me eventually here. I know Tim Groggins.
Sandy Run Farm and Nursery.
Sandy Run Farm and Nursery.
Actually, it's listed on Brooks Road in Purvis, Mississippi, but it is just off Sandy Run Road. Turn on Brooks Road.
Yeah.
That's how you get to it.
Yeah. Tim's a really great guy too.
Miss Lippy said that it was starting to get bad. They were getting some rain. Some weather moving in. And
no, she said, Buddy said that's a bad place to be in Lippy's mind.
No, before that, she said that she hoped they had internet because there was a storm moving in.
Well,
these storms are
let me tell you
something. Come in.
Well, hold on. I've told y'all for over a year that the 33rd to the 35th parallel, the weather is going to be unreal. You're going to have a very hard time growing. You're going to have a very hard time weather-wise. There's going to be hail, lightning, flooding, high wind, damaging, all kind of tornadoes, all this kind of stuff. I've said that for the last year because Big Brother has an agenda. And not only does Big Brother have an agenda, the sun is doing some really crazy things, and the jet stream is changed from what it used to be. So keep in mind, you're going to have a very hard time growing in these zones. Now we're talking about northern Louisiana, Arkansas, up to southern Missouri, on through Kentucky, Tennessee, over to Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle, Colorado. All that area through there, guys, is just going to be horrifying weather.
And just like this week, we have not had any rain in I don't know when. It's been a month, 2 months. We've had a sprinkle, not even wet in the ground. And so really the ground was so dry. And then one night it started raining. It rained 3 inches, and one night it rained 1 inch. But which night was it? The second night? I think it was the second night. A friend of ours sent a message and said, "Hey, look, it just got really bad here." And he said, "It's headed your way." Well, it skirted us. We got some rain from it, and the lightning was popping pretty good for a while. And when I opened the door, it sounded like a hurricane force winds. It was really weird outside, but then it went away. But he got the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Just a few miles from us. So this weather comes up pretty fast.
The weather comes up pretty fast. Hutch says, "Are your food your jalapeno light green? Mine are." And I was wondering if that's normal. I thought they would be dark green. Ours are very dark green, and they will turn red if you leave them there long enough. But if they're light green, maybe there's not enough fertilization there for them. They may need to raise the fertilization a little bit on them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Some people need rain. Some people need the rain to go away. Lots of people have loved ones that they need prayer for health issues of all kinds. Pray for the children. Yes, the children are going to have the worst time. They're not going to understand this world.
Oh, man. Oh, let's see here.
15-month-old grandson on dialysis.
Oh, wow. It's kidney failure.
Yeah.
That's not good.
All right, so we want to go ahead and have prayer.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and have our prayer here. Took a bath, and now my hair is all like...
Y'all pretty. Yeah, he's all pretty now.
My hair is like baby's hair. That's
what
happens.
Bit he has.
What little bit I have. That's what happens when you get old. Your hair gets thin and light.
Airy.
Yeah. Father, we're so thankful tonight. You've been good to us, Lord. We had a great time fellowshipping here tonight, Lord. That's what our Saturday nights is really all about for us, is to be able to fellowship. And we always ask you to bless us so that we can turn around and be a blessing to those that are around us. And Father, thank you so much for that. And I do pray that we're able to help as many people as possible with their problems and their gardening situations, Lord. And that's just one of those things it's a desire of ours, because we want to see everybody be productive, Father. You've been good to us. You've helped us be productive. And we just want to pass that information on. So, and Lord, we also have people here. I saw lots of different requests about a lot of different things going by. Some have some physical issues that needs praying over. We pray over those in the name of Christ, that their physical issues will straighten out. And Father, we've seen some that had some emotional issues. We've seen that some want prayers for their children. And that, you know, it's always said that we can't take anything to heaven with us, but that's not true. When we leave here, we can take our children and our family with us if we set the right examples for them, and if we pray for them and lead them to the Lord, then we can take them to heaven with us. And Father, so tonight our prayer is very simple, is that you would answer the prayers that need to be answered here tonight. People with emotional issues. I'm sure there are those that have financial issues. There are those that are dealing with cancer, we see here, that we know for sure is. Those that are having lots of tests run. Those that are having some issues with their immune systems. We know of some of those. We're praying for those. And Father, those that pray for their children. Many people are asking about our country. And Lord, we know that you showed us a year or so ago that your hand had been lifted off this country because it had literally shaken its fist in your face one time too many. Its cup was full. and that we were going to face judgment now. And all we have to do is go read Deuteronomy, well, I think it's chapter 28, 1 through 14, and then read verses 14 on to the end of the chapter, and we'll see why we're facing all the tragedies in this country that we're facing. Lord, it's just one of those times that we're just asking that you be with us like you was with the children of Israel when you brought the plagues upon Egypt. Watch over your people, guide and direct them, heal your people, Father, answer their prayers when they call out to you. And I pray that they may call in a time in which you may be able to hear them, because there is scripture that says there will be a time that you won't hear their cries. And Father, we pray that they've done it in a timely fashion now. Go with us, forgive us of our sins now. We love you and we appreciate all that you do for us. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
I just thought of something.
Oh, what is that?
The Kings. I went to church with a Brother John King and his wife and his son.
This is true.
And then later, the preacher at one of the churches I was going to was Brother Mark King. And he's passed away, but his brother Brett is also a...
too much there, yeah.
You got to call him back.
I'll have to call him back.
Brother Mark was our pastor for a couple of 3 years, and then his brother Brett was also a preacher, plus his dad was a preacher. So
yes,
I know some Kings, so a Smoky barbecue is still there. I do remember Kings. It took me a minute. You got a tip?
Oh,
no.
Tip.
No.
Yes. I always have tips, guys. Prepare to deal with some excessive heat in the next 5 to 6 weeks. There's a big heat anomaly coming, and the reason I tell you to prepare to deal with the heat. Now, we're mainly going to be talking about the central part of the United States, the southern part where we live at down in here, Texas, all the eastern part of the United States, all the way up to Maine, all through the Ohio River Valley up through that way, Kentucky, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and all up through there. We've got a big heat anomaly fixing to move into our country. It's going to be here for quite a while. And a lot of y'all are not used to this kind of heat that's going to be coming. So I'm telling you that for a reason, because your garden plants probably may not be able to take that kind of heat that's coming. And I know you work real hard on your garden, and you want to be able to harvest from it. So please keep in mind, you might need some shade cloth, and you're probably going to need about a 40% shade cloth. You can get it through Lowe's or somewhere like that, and you may have to put some shade cloth over some of your plants, or if you grow them in containers, you might have to move them to a more shaded area to keep maybe only 3 or 4 hours of sunshine on them before they go into a shade, because this heat that's coming, a lot of it's going to be triple digit. I'm talking about all the way through Missouri, Kansas, all the way across to the eastern seaboard. It's not looking good. And guys, I'm just going to tell you, it's this heat anomaly that's building. It's not
hurricanes too.
Your hurricanes. One thing you got to watch out about hurricanes. They're not going to be necessarily coming across the Atlantic for our area down in here.
Like normal.
A lot of them are going to form strictly in the Gulf of Mexico out of just low pressure systems that's going to be down here.
The heat of the water.
The water is like 9 degrees plus hotter than what it's supposed to be. There's things going on in the Gulf out here, like we've had an oil rig explosion off the coast of Mexico that no one's really talking about. There's so many things happening in the Gulf of Mexico that's just not being talked about. And guys, I want to see your vegetables produce. I want to see you be able to raise your own food. That's why I was telling you about the gamma ray issue. That's why I'm telling you about planting in containers up off the ground, not in raised beds, in containers off the ground, about 10 to 12 inches if you can get them up there. And please protect your plants from the heat that's coming, because it is going to be brutal.
Okay, Now, Miss Sylvia from Rocking Chair Society, we've met her. She's been
here
before.
She's been here before.
She mentions that wearing loose, light-colored clothing helps. And if you're a lady, and Miss Lippy will attest to this, wearing muumuus, the dresses that don't touch you anywhere, and I wear big T-shirts. I don't like tight-fitting T-shirts.
Right.
Most of my shorts and stuff are bigger, where they're stretchy and bigger. They're not skin tight. If you wear skin tight clothes all the time, seems like it just holds that heat in. And then the other thing is to keep your face, your neck, and your arms and stuff damp. Take cloth and keep it where you can pat your face and have wetness on your face.
Yeah.
That helps. Somebody was asking about shade cloth too. Something about, is it expensive? I think.
Shade cloth is not really that expensive. You can get it from Lowe's in different widths, different lengths. We bought a whole pile of it from them, and it wasn't really that expensive. I mean, just anything to be able to keep the heat off your plants. Now, for you personally, most people don't realize the cooling down of the body takes place from the base of the head back here to above the shoulder blades in here. If you can mist that or keep it damp and wet, then you can usually keep your body temperature at a cool down.
Yeah. Okay. We gotta
All
go.
right.
I don't know what we're going to do. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to just say it. Every evening.
That's what all she does. She just loves to go to sleep.
I have never taken a nap before in my life. Chris kept me from my nap today. Sorry, Chris. The last, week and a half, just about every day, I've been taking a nap. I hate to tell that on myself, but this heat is crazy. And
yeah, it really
I told
is.
Danny, I said, when it gets 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'm going to go lay down and take a nap. Just chill, cool off, and revamp for the late evening.
Will placing containers under a tree elevate off the ground help? Yes. Song of joy? Yes. It will help.
Okay.
All right.
We got to go.
All right, guys. I love you. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the next video.